Hello, everyone. We are live on YouTube, and I am just plugging in Instagram, connecting software. Let's go live here as well. Hello, hello. Okay, we are live here as well. Hello, Amy. So nice to see you.
Hi, Marta. It's so great to see you.
I am very excited. And as always, we are waiting today for a minute or so to see who is going to join us live.
Yes.
And if you're watching it on a replay, welcome to. Hi, Tina. So nice to see you. I'm just trying to think. Uh, why don't we do an informal introduction? Would you like to say anything about yourself? Who are you, Amy? I think it will be fun if
Sure.
it comes from you. Who are you?
Sure. Um, I'm an author. I've written 19 books, decks, journals.
Wow.
The 18th one is Aura Alchemy. The 19th one is the Atomic Element Healing Oracle. There's lots of them. You may have seen me if you're a New Age enthusiast or go to yoga studios and stuff like that. You may have seen some of my books, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of goddess. Those are often in those places. So you might have seen me around and not known. Um, and I also have been a medical intuitive for 25 years, and I created atomic healing and the atomic healing method because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of what I do has to do with particle physics and quantum mechanics and drilling down to what's happening on that subatomic level in the body and how we heal it. So I think that's a good introduction.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And then another level of introduction, I feel it will be so lovely. If you agree, would you be happy to pull a card for our audience
Yes,
for energy? Because I think it's going to tie beautifully for us to
I
then dive
agree.
in deeper into that
I
certification course.
I agree. And the art, so this particular deck, the Atomic Element Healing Oracle, is a divination card set based upon the periodic table of elements. And that has been a labor of love. It's something that I was working on. It's actually the first book I wanted to publish. I started it in 2001 or 2000, so it took 23, 24 years to come to fruition. And then subsequently, I wrote all these other books. I have a few other card decks. I have the Blissful Baths card deck. I have another card deck coming out next year. So I've had a journey bringing this to life, but it's
Mm-hmm.
actually the basis of a lot of my medical intuitive work.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to pick a card. Beautiful, beautiful art done by Katja Perez. Just, I mean, she really took the vision of the elements, the periodic table elements that I had, and brought it to life. Originally, when I was channeling this project, it was a 111,000 word book. And when you do an oracle deck with Hay House, it has to be about 20,000 words. So I really had to
Mm-hmm.
cut it down. And I also drew the art originally for every card to channel it in. So then when I got to collaborate with Katja, and I'm an abstract artist, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not someone who can make, lifelike faces. And she's just like beyond. She's such a talent. So I was just so honored to get to do that. And so the card that we're going to pull, what message we all need today,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're watching live or you're on the replay, we're going to see what we all need, and we'll see the way Katja brought it to life.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Dharm Stadium cleansing. So Darmstadium is the 110th element on the periodic table, which means it has 110 electrons and 110 protons in its pure state. And it's actually an element that was created in a lab. It's an element that I channeled very early in the process of the deck. And so at that point, let's say in the mid 2000s, it didn't have a name yet. It was still just called element 110 because scientists have been working in labs to see how they could create new elements and what that means. So when this particular element came through, it was very interesting to me because it's an element, like I said, it's not naturally present. So I was kind of like, how could that be? And its essence was all about cleansing and the being associated. So with this particular deck, it's and the whole concept and really all the work that I do kind of centers around the fact that everything is alive and imbued with consciousness. So I'm at the periodic table of elements shamanically and through channeling and things like that as the living beings. And so the element Dharm Stadium came through to me. Originally, I called it 110 as a living being. That being Dharm Stadium, all of the Dharm Stadium in the universe is part of the being Dharm Stadium's body. That being is also incarnated as the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet. And so that's why we see her with her lion. And then with this cleansing from Dharm Stadium, we have elements of water, fire, autumn leaves, like swirling wind, all different types of cleansing that can be ancestral, karmic, energetic. So us picking this card today, and we have just, crossed the threshold into autumn equinox pretty recently. To me, that means that we are cleansing, we're releasing, we're transmuting. In the book and in the chapter about this, it takes you through this process where you understand that it's giving you this opportunity to release and transmute what no longer serves you. And we visualize it in the text going through a ring in time and then transmuting out of existence. And so Sekhmet, Dharm Stadium, is coming to all of us today, whenever you're hearing this, to help you with that. So if you'd like that to happen, you can just tell her, yes, please cleanse and transmute whatever no longer serves me for my highest good and the highest good of all life. Yeah.
Beautiful. A beautiful message.
Yes.
Well, I would love to ask you, because for anyone who is curious about science but maybe gets overwhelmed by scientific terminology, would you be able to tell a little bit more? Because I want to dive deep into the atomic healing method, but
Yes.
how do you approach? Because I find it fascinating that you combine neuroscience with ancient healing, and you've mentioned now that you treat those periodic tables and every element as a living being, but then you have that shamanic spin, and then you work with goddesses. Could you talk a little bit more about that, how you incorporate it into your teaching, into that certification?
Absolutely. So the science side has always been close to my heart, and part of my mission for a lot of years that I'm really getting to enact now with working with on these projects with Hay House is I want to make it fun and accessible, because I always loved it. It was science and, what I would think of as the tiny universe and the mechanics of what were happening. When you hear the term quantum mechanics, quantum means tiny, that's all it means. And mechanics means, how things work. So it's just the mechanics of the tiny universe. I always wanted to understand that. So it's been, my mission for a long time to make that fun and accessible for people. When I was writing Aura Alchemy, my editor at the time, when I turned in the first draft, and that was a Hay House editor, they come back and give you notes and things like that. And she said, "You made science sexy." And I was like, yes, that has been what I've been wanting to do, because I know people find it inaccessible, but it is accessible. It's what we're made of. It's, what everything around us is made of can be explained through some of these principles. And it can be really fun to understand that and then be able to extrapolate that into our health, our body, the way we're manifesting in life. There's all of these kinds of components. So I've been, in that kind of a mindset for a long time. I also have been teaching shamanism for 25 years, teaching channeling for 25 years, teaching, people how to become multidimensional. How do we interact with the non-physical world and that which we don't see in this, dimension that is like quote unquote heart, matter and energy. It's actually much more. That's a big part of what our alchemy is about, is it's not just matter and energy. It's also force and charge, and everything is in dynamic motion. And so when we understand all of that, or even part of that, we're able to extrapolate it. So then to kind of take that into the atomic healing method, when we use that as far as what's going on in the body, when we're trying to find the root cause of something, whether it is an imbalance, something that people are coming in for in the way that they're feeling in their body, or also a life situation, when we look to the root cause, we have so many tools, so many levers we can pull. Absolutely, we have the subatomic, we have elements of cellular biology as far as what's going on inside the cells, what's going on in the organs in the body, all the different systems. But we also have access through our ability to communicate with non-physical beings, spirit guides. So goddesses like Sekhmet. Think about Egyptians met this being, Sekhmet, but we also know now she's imbuing consciousness into this element that was initially created in a lab. So everything is alive. When we bring that consciousness to things, we can learn. And that's one of the things I've taught for 25 years in shamanism. And you learn all of this and more in the atomic healing method, is we can talk to non-physical spirit guides and receive guidance, information, ask them questions, learn to do that in a standardized, repeatable manner, and then start to go in to learn how do we clear ancestral density, karmic density, how do we do soul retrieval, where we bring fragments back that perhaps have been sent away by our consciousness due to trauma or other reasons. We work on putting the energy back together in a place of wholeness and raising its frequency. I'm also a big fan of traditional Chinese medicine. I studied Taoism quite a bit. So we work a lot with that and the organ meridians and the Taoist 5 elements. So that means what you hear about in acupuncture, acupressure, etc. So how we would say, a certain thing's going on in the body, we're feeling a certain way, and it's because the, energy in the gallbladder is sluggish and that meridian is feeling sluggish. We're seeing that, in whatever we're exhibiting, and how we tonify that, how we move that forward. Is it yin deficient, like, moist feminine energy deficient? Is it yang deficient? Is it deficient of fire and traditionally the masculine energy? What do we need to do to bring balance to the body? And we are able to look at that using our shamanic skills, our understanding of Taoist 5 element theory, and then our medical intuitive skills, where we can look in the body, see what's going on, and put the pieces together. So that's what I teach. And it sounds very complicated, but it's actually really simple, because once you're talking to spirit guides and you start to learn which levers to pull, you can get this information, you can get these results, and keep building on it. People use it for themselves, their friends, their families, and they do get certified in this method that I've been using for 25 years, the atomic healing method. So they do go on to be medical intuitives if that's their desire, which is really exciting for me as a teacher, because for years I had private apprentices, and now I'm teaching this to an intimate group. It's not a huge group, because you got all the classes are live with me. You practice in class, you're giving readings, you're learning in class. You get me kind of, it's Zoom, but it would be like if we were in the room and I'm like right there over your shoulder helping you. So, but it's just so exciting to see this go forward, see these, alumni now who are working as atomic healing method certified practitioners, and where they take it, because it's a basis for you. And then you may take it to another level and add and incorporate other things. So it's pretty exciting to me.
And I love it. And you said it's basis, but at the same time, that basis, it's like so profound and so complex and multi-layered, because like there's so many courses that only concentrate on one particular modality,
Mhm.
whereas you, well, this is what I find fascinating, and something that has popped into my mind is like my grandfather, he's already in the spirit world. He was a chemical engineer, and if, for my
Ah.
18th birthday, I received, he went to like an archive, like a secondhand shop, and bought me that book of all the elements, and I found it
Ah.
so boring. I
Yeah.
just and it wasn't, but he was so fascinated by it.
Right.
But like you give that spin by like combining all those other methods,
Yes.
so I feel like you make it more accessible for people whose minds maybe process or work in a different way.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's exciting. I
It's
just
fun. It's
uh,
fun, and my mind works in a different way. So I grew up with a lot of learning disabilities, and I've had, kind of a weird brain my whole life. But I think that's why I can take a concept like this and make it fun for you. Someone who found, the elements of the periodic table so boring. How would this will make it really fun for you. Like
yeah,
these are
I love
living
it. Uh-huh.
beings, that want to basically be your friends because they're also spirit guides who are working in service of all life, which we also have the opportunity to do that. We're kind of in this unique situation where we're in a physical body. We don't really spend that much of our eternal existence as souls or whatever in physical bodies, but we can work with beings like, elements of the periodic table who, at the moment are coming to us. Whoops, that one's turned over. Not incarnated in physical bodies,
Mm-hmm.
who are just interested in helping us and serving the highest good. And so, what a
Mm-hmm.
gift to have these beings be our friends, our confidants, our advisors, whoops, our guides.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I hope the system, the education system, is going to change one day. My one of my children, he's neurodivergent, and now
Yes.
I'm thinking, oh, I could actually. I'm like, well, I'm curious what's going to happen. What if I was, or when I give him that deck, and what
Yes.
wisdom he would do, and like how. I'm sure he would challenge. Well, my son doesn't take information. Like he questions everything, so I know we'll
Which
have
is
no problems.
good. Yes.
Yes. And then you'd
Which
give
is
that
great.
component. Okay, I love
Yeah.
it. We
It's
have a comment
adding.
here.
Oh, good. Yay.
This is exciting. I would like to know more. Thanks for sharing your
Yay.
knowledge. That's from Charlene.
Yay. Yay. I'm so glad that it excited you because, again, that's been my mission is to make, science fun. Aura, my book Aura Alchemy is about auras, which are living biologically generated electromagnetic fields made of subatomic particles called photons that comprise light and electricity. So it is actually a particle physics book in some ways, but then we take it to how do we use it from a Taoist perspective, a shamanic perspective, a medical intuitive perspective, as far as auras, and then how do we manifest with it? And that's really a manifestation book. And
Mm.
that's the beauty of learning in a fun way, oh, I can work with polonium, I can work with
Mm-hmm.
lithium, this is the goddess Saraswati, this is the goddess Astarte, in a fun way, working with these beings, because then you can harness those energies to manifest your heart's desires in your life and heal and optimize the body if that's necessary.
Mm. So, would you say that this course, the certification,
Yeah.
is suitable uh, for anyone? You don't have to do it like professionally to be a
Yes.
medical intuitive. You can heal,
Yes.
transform yourself as well.
Yes. All levels. We have people who come in with no prior knowledge to they're very beginner, and we have some people who come in and have some background. Everybody works together, and that actually really makes the course richer that we have all the levels. And you don't have to do this as your job. You can just use it. Some people just take it and use it for themselves. It's a deep dive. If you've ever had a medical intuitive session with me, which I do still offer those one-on-ones. Sometimes we have a long waiting gap because, I have a lot with different book deadlines and book tours and signings and teaching and everything. So it's a good way though to get, an intensive 9 months with me where you're getting so much learning, so much healing because you're working on each other and on yourself. People come out of it like, in a new stage of life, whether that stage is that they want to work as a healer or they've healed and cleared and transformed and come into their higher purpose as well, then they're able to live that and enact that and to continue to use those skills, which you can use them just for you. You can use them on family, friends. You can do that however you want because you're certified and you become a really proficient expert in the level 1 of atomic healing, which is very comprehensive.
Well, I have a couple of questions, but I know like you teach students to see, I think to see inside the human body on both that microscopic and cosmic levels. Could you tell the viewers here what does that process look like and how does it help your students as healers?
Absolutely. First of all, I love that question because that's kind of the joy of it for me is seeing on that microscopic level and then, also seeing the macroscopic level where it's about the soul's plan, other lives, the lives of their ancestors, and what they're really trying to experience and share from a dharmic life's purpose level as well. So the process looks different all the time. Its basis is basically shamanic practice that leads to multidimensional awareness and then proficiency. So what that means is like with me and with people who learn the process, because you learn it the way I do it, and then you can use it however you want. Some people will do it a little bit differently. Some people do it exactly how I do it. But for me, if somebody has, something they're coming in and asking about, then I confer with their spirit guides. So you always have that as an access point. You learn how I do that safely in a high vibrational way, how you stay protected energetically. The parameters that I teach you to put in place in terms of what guide you'll speak to. Like if a guide isn't really in a place of all of the light in a higher self place, then we have other guides relay those messages and stuff. So you just stay in a very high vibrational space at all times because that's important. The core of our work is helping all, harming none. And that means, you or whomever, if you're doing the work, you have to only be enhanced. It can't harm you. So you can't be connecting with lower vibrational energies. But so I teach you how to do that. And so with my work, I'll talk to the spirit guide of the spirit guides, typically of the client. And, we know what we're going in for. And my objective and what I teach is we want to find the absolute root cause and then figure out what we have to do to reverse engineer back to the highest optimal state, whether you've been there before or you're going to up level into a new state as well. So the steps that need to happen to get to that place, which could be clearing, healing, installing new frequencies, changing things inside of the DNA, genetic work, things like that. Changing limiting beliefs, moving dense energies out of the body, moving emotions, changing what we eat, certain supplements, herbs, botanicals, etc. But so I talk to the spirit guides and I'm asking them, please, to show me this root cause. And then so sometimes it is something inside of the body that we have to look at. And I do think of it from a mechanics standpoint in the way that when I get to that root, then I'm looking at, okay, what do we have to do to restore that to its highest balance? And it might be like this cell membrane is incorrectly charged. And so we need to add potassium, magnesium, and chromium. And then the cell membrane has the electronegativity it needs to do its work, for example. And so then I ask what we need to do to have that happen. And then that's a process of basically questioning or asking questions of the spirit guides. Sometimes, most of the time, I really don't have to ask, they just show it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'll typically I usually have my sessions with clients on the phone. Part of why I don't do that on Zoom is because if I'm looking at things, my eyes are closed anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't like want to have to worry about how you look because I'm like looking and I'm probably like, really like looking intensively and I have my eyes closed and maybe I'm talking to guides and gesturing or things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So, but it is about the information for me just kind of comes. Elements of it are visual. I also hear things or hear it in my head, like the information. And I oftentimes I'm, speaking to the client, like telling them what's happening, but I'm also a lot of the times having a side conversation with the guides in my mind. So I'm asking the questions with one side of my brain, and then I'm speaking with the other side of my brain. It's not technically that, but like speaking, what I'm getting before that to the client as we go through, unravel the mystery, and then restore it to its optimal frequency, basically.
Mm. And for anyone who's watching it and they have absolutely no idea why they are drawn to this course, well, what would you say? Because I know, like, one of the many, well, let's call it promises of this work, of this certification course, is breaking generational, is it curses or
Yes.
so for those listening who might not know what that means, could you explain how these patterns might show up and how
Yes.
that course can help them shift it?
Sure. Yeah, we go very deeply into clearing ancestral density and also integrating soul strengths. So maybe things that your ancestors did that are sort of in your DNA, like imprinted, that can be helpful for you too. I had, you were talking about your grandfather being around. I have a great aunt who passed before I was incarnated. But she was a nurse. She helps me quite a bit with anatomy and
Mm-hmm.
physiology. So sometimes, I mean, I am a sciencey person and I like that stuff. And so I've done a fair amount of reading, even in my younger years about that. But she will show me things from an anatomy physiology standpoint that I didn't know. Um, but so, full queen mode commented. That was the
Yes.
YouTube.
And then Natalie on Instagram is saying, hi, Amy. Hi, Marta. There are
Hi.
people joining in.
Hi,
And we've got
everybody.
Luke's Reiki, Tracy Spriggs, people joining in and enjoying this conversation.
Yay. Yay. Yes. So, yeah, it's a rich experience, to get to talk to spirit guides, look inside the body. And as far as like we do some things where we do unravel energies that are curse-like, whether they were actually curses placed upon ancestors or, also if they're karmic from other lives, or like that, where someone, received that energy. And the core of that, by the way, is really the ancestor thought that they should accept it for some reason, because no one can send, malevolent energy into your field unless you accept it. And so a
Mm.
lot of times it's a self-worth thing. So the ancestor thought they deserved it, for example. I had an interesting example of a client. It was a man who came in for something physical. And so we were looking for what the root cause was. And I said, I'm seeing, this ancestor. And basically, it was a male, and he fell in love with a married woman. And it was back, a ways back in antiquity. So it was not as free thinking as it is
Mm-hmm.
now, at this time in history either. And if I remember correctly, it was like in somewhere in Western Europe. And so the male ancestor fell in love with a married woman, and they had a really soulmate love. And so he broke up a marriage, basically. And the spurned husband was pretty mad and like beat him up, and it was kind of a big thing. And he sent curse energy at him. Not like, I curse you, but like, he was mad
Mm-hmm.
and he was sending him unkind thoughts, essentially. The
Mm-hmm.
ancestor felt he deserved it. So he let it in. It patterned into the DNA and it caused a gene mutation, which was causing the physical ailment in the person I was working with. So I said, this is the situation. We're gonna bring you into self-worth so that we can unravel this and then do XYZ to fix it. And he said, do you know what's so crazy? That was his current life situation. Fell in love with a married woman and she was leaving his husband. And I said,
Wow.
wow, so you are really acting this out to clear it, because what got stuck in that ancestral incident was the guilt or the lack of self-worth. And so those denser imprinted energies were accepted and they went into the genome in a way that passed down through, I feel like it was probably like 9-10 generations back. So that's an example.
I love it. And then finally, I know I've got many questions, but yes, one question, let's choose one. For someone who's watching right now and feels that quiet whisper,
Yes.
this might be for me, what would you say to them?
I would say go for it. It is, I am teaching it 100% live this year. I have a lot of projects that are coming up in the next few years from a literary perspective. Some of this may not be all live with me. I have assistant teachers. You get to meet one of them. Sometimes she comes in and helps me. This might be the last year you get me 100% live for everything. So if you're feeling it's time, go for it. I'm very excited to meet you. You can also, Marta has a link that is in her, show notes and bio and things that you can use. You can also use the link in there to book a discovery call and talk to me.
Okay.
If you have questions, you get a time to talk to me. We have a 20-minute call. Ask all the questions that you have and we can figure out if it's a good fit for you. And I'd love to see you in class. The group that's assembling is really neat. It is every year. It's always Soul Family, and that's happening again. And maybe your tribe is gathering.
And you're starting, is it 21st of October that the class starts?
October 21st. It's a Tuesday. And
Mm-hmm.
so that means you need to join us no later than October 20th, which is a Monday.
I love it. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your heart. It's been, as always, a beautiful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta.
And I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching us, whether live or on the replay. And again, if you got curious, you will find a link in my bio, or you can send me a DM, Atomic Healing, and I'll send you the right link. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Bye, everyone. I'll finish on YouTube first.